Good afternoon and welcome back. So, um, today I wanted to work on this area here. First thing we need is a bit of a dialogue for this guy. And then I need to add puzzle elements to this. And for that, I think not quite sure if I do want to have these as part of the puzzle. Could be interesting. Not sure yet. Let's see. What do I have here? I created a few puzzle elements thingies here. One of them is this pressure plate. Which is basically just trigger and then box that's moving down slightly, and it's moving another actor, basically one of my interaction base actors. And this is interaction base actor. That's the actor that would move as soon as I'm on that. And the problem is that I can't make this an interaction base actor. Not really, because it would kind of add too much to it, too much stuff to it that I don't need. But I also have this switch actor, which is basically the same. So if I click the switch, then something else will be clicked or will be moved. In this way it will be clicked. And I also worked on a system with the procedural house, and this is doing a lot of different stuff. It's taking the house data, has a cell number, it would change specific cell to something else. I can't do that anymore because I can't do it in here, because this is no longer my procedural house. It's all static meshes. So I need to figure out a better way to create switch here. Let's see. I think I want to add this barrel here. Let's throw that in. When I'm working, I usually don't have music on. That's why there's no music. Let's put this pressure plate here. Still need to add proper materials to it. I mean, those are just cubes, but let's see what I use here. Let's add another light in that corner. And I think I need to change this blueprint. Let's duplicate this. And pressure plate needs an interactive base actor. let's add an event here. Let's add the clicked event. Okay, so I need to add the begin play to turn them off, because I did something wrong there. So let's begin play, and then the particle system should be set inactive. Compile that and see if that works. Oh, I also need to change the I think I need to create a new, completely new system here. Let's set this back to static mesh. Not skeletal. Static mesh. Okay. And wait, there's something missing. I think I make some delete, yes, and redo that. Duplicate this one. And here I'm using the interface. I think that's a lot better. So let's set this to movable. And I should be able to set the, yeah. Problem is, I'm not sure if I can call it here. That's why I might need to convert it anyway. So the pressure plate this doesn't work that way. Sorry about that. I think I just need to make a copy of my pressure plate and then now I need to change my pressure plate to just use an actor. Just an actor reference. And in here I need to check if this implements the interface that I want. And if that is true, then we do this. And yeah, here I still need to cast to that. So I don't. Yeah, this is set as an actor. Oh, I can use this. Okay. So this should work. If I'm using the interface call, then don't need to cast. Just doesn't work for actors that do not have the interface. I hope. Just try if this works. I mean, with this here, it shouldn't be a problem. We basically do the same. This is end overlap. Let's call this one again. And yeah, this moves the one of the cubes differently, and This is just toggling the light. At least that's what I want to have happen here. So if that is clicked, I want to use a flip-flop here. And my point light and the particle system. And for the point light, this is set to movable. And to begin with, it should be invisible and hidden. And the particle system shouldn't auto-activate. So if I put this in, then it should be turned off. Yeah, no light in here. Let's change this slightly here in the viewport. So this is the start piece. And if I to move this, then sorry about that. I need something to drink. Okay. So let's see. The moment this is the base object, but I want this to be no, this doesn't work. Set a scene component and no. Okay, this is inherited, so it doesn't work that way. Okay. Can't change the alignment here other than no, I can't even move that. So doesn't matter really. I can move it into place another way. So if we click this once, I want to turn on the light. This was point light, which I set to invisible and hidden in game. So let's change those. So it should be visible now. And it should not hidden in game. The particle system this after the particle system. The particle system should activate. Let's set active so I can change this. What scale would be good for a particle system? Not sure what you're asking. What do you mean by scale? Kind of depends on what your particle system should look like, what it does and stuff like that, so not quite sure. So and here we want to do the opposite. And it depends on what your particle system, how your particle system is set up. You can have huge looking particles. For instance, if I click on this one, I mean this is scaled up double, but if I set this to auto activate, then you see that this is huge system of different textures laid over each other. But I don't really know much about particle systems, to be honest. Kind of. Let me show you the... This is something that I bought, and this is quite a complex system. It has different emitters and stuff like that, but if we jump to something that is a bit more simple, let's see, I think I have effects. Yeah, this one. This is a bit more simple. This is just simple emitter that uses, oops, what did I do? Undo. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. This takes a really simple texture, which is just this. It's a material, but just uses this blobby alpha texture here mostly, and then pushes that out a lot. So what I wanted to do with this was create some kind of beacon. Might not be the best solution for that, but it kind of works. So I'm constantly spawning 10 of those, the rate of 10, and they live for 10 to 50 seconds. And here I can set the size. I mostly use, in this project I'm only using blueprints, because blueprints are a bit faster to work with if you really want to change stuff, test around different ideas and stuff like that, and writing that in code would take longer for me. I do have a background in programming, but mostly self-taught stuff, and I worked a bit in, for a short time I worked as a programmer doing user interfaces in Java, and I created simple programs in C++ and C#. I worked in Unity, did C# there. So it's a bit of background in programming, but I'm not a good programmer. And that's one of the reasons why I really like blueprints, because I can do a lot of stuff without going too deep into programming with them. And asking stuff like that is completely fine, Bartek. Like I said, I don't really know much about the way these systems work. I just took a simple setup and tried to create my own particle system. And it's mostly based on texture per emitter, and then you can scale that, you can change it and stuff like that. Can do that. Let's tutorials. I mean, it's still here, but the thing is, you can convert your blueprint into C++ code when you build the game, and that would give you the slight bit more performance that you want to have. But in most cases, you don't need to, unless you have really complex calculations in your blueprints, and C++ would be more performant then. I mean, the most most of what I'm doing here is all done in blueprints, and I think I might add bit of C++ at some point to make a few systems work a bit better, but in most cases I don't think I need to switch anything. But my game is quite simple. Don't have complicated calculations, no stats and stuff like that. So it's really simple in that regard, and using C++ for this is really not needed. Yeah, so far I would say I can do the whole game in blueprints. Yeah, I mean, if you have the time for that, go for it, but otherwise I would say if you want to create a game, pick an engine and work with that. I mean, you always need to figure out what's your goal. If you want to learn how to program and create an engine, do that. If you want to create a game, pick an engine and work with that. In most cases, it's the better option, because you can focus on the game and not on creating the engine for the game. And I need to change this. I mean, you can try to optimize your game as much as you want to have it run on mobile devices or stuff like that, but um, it's better to pick a target and then do the pick a target platform or target device and then create for that. And I need to change this. And no, this. I mean, for this game, I noticed that I had about 20 frames maximum in a specific area. And then I started to implement LODs and replaced a bit of my procedural or data-driven house creation blueprints with generated static meshes, and it ran a lot better. So there's always optimization needed in specific areas. But if you need Blueprint or C++, really depends on what kind of calculations you're doing. And the difference is, I would say, minimal, but in some cases, if you really do need to do complex physics calculations and stuff like that, C++ is definitely the better option for that. But then is the question, do you really need to do that? Or do you let the engine do that work for you. If you have something like I'm Bread or Goat Simulator, where you want to kind of use physics in a really let's call it overused way, and use a lot of physics calculations, and maybe, but even though Goat Simulator and I'm Bread it's using normal physics, but just implemented badly by design. I mean, if your game depends on that, then you can do that in C++, a lot more performant than in Blueprint. In some cases, you don't have access in Blueprint. If I would do a lot of file management and stuff like that, that wouldn't work in Blueprint. You need to go to C++. And yeah, and calculations in the background are also stuff that's better in C++. But for almost everything else, you can definitely start with blueprints. And if you really think, okay, that part would run better in C++, you can switch over later. So now I have this array here. I mean, you can do simple stuff. What I'm doing in Blueprint in C++ as well. Use what you're more comfortable with. If you like lines of code more than spaghetti components like this, go for C++. You can achieve the same thing that I did here in C++. Few things are not that easily done in C++, and that's stuff on the level blueprint itself. If I want to have a specific stuff happening in the level, then there are ways to access those in C++, but it's definitely easier to do it in blueprints. No. Yeah, like I said, do what you like best. Go for what's working for you. That's a bit strange. Was it a coding job or was it a level design job? gameplay programmer. Yeah, I mean, I can understand it in that regard that the company probably is doing most of their stuff in Blueprint anyway. So, um, yeah, but you still need to have an understanding of basic logic and um, basics of programming to create a blueprint. You don't need to have studied and have a degree, but you still need to know basic logic to work with that. It's not just dragging lines. You still need to have basic understanding. Yeah, it's definitely strange. If you still have kind of contact to them, ask them if there was something else. That's why they rejected you, but because just for that sounds definitely a bit strange. Let's duplicate this and let's create a copy. And for this, let's get a particle system reference. Yeah. Okay, that needs an actor component. Let's see, can I... Let's compile this. Ah, okay. I need the actor. Yeah, I mean... Why not? Okay, how do I activate this? Okay, that's an emitter. So we need to have an emitters. And that's good. One set there. Nope. Nope. So, pressure plate. Yeah, I need it. And a variable here. It's pressed. And make this. It's already public, so I should be able to access this in here. So if I press that, okay, the idea is if I press that, then I want to have this show up. It should be visible. Just need to figure out how to trigger it properly. So variables, default, it's pressed. Then we set this to visible. Now I need to figure out how to trigger it, like I said. Let's see. could do this. And then I can set the visibility this way as well. Yeah, let's do that. So I don't need this here. And let's open this up again. Okay, at the moment it's visible. Let's set this to okay, so I need to go for actor hidden in game. Okay. Okay. It works. And I need to take a break. It will be a bit longer, so I think I'm going offline, but I will be back later. Not sure, half an hour, 45 minutes or so. Sorry about that. So I will be back later. See you then. Bye.